You're welcome once again to David Data Channel, where we talk about data science, productivity, and faith. On today's video, we're going to be talking about an interesting part of the data and IT space, something referred to as analytics engineering. I know some of us have heard about it, others may not have heard, but it's a field that is coming into this space with so much importance, with so much clarity that people are using in organizations to make their data cycle, their data life cycle much more better for everybody. And today with me, I have with me a very important guest, a senior data scientist who's experienced within the country Nigeria and outside the country Nigeria. His name is Opeyemi Fabiyi. Yes, I'm correct. Opeyemi Fabiyi. So he'll be joining us in this conversation to give us his wealth of experience. All right, Ope, you're welcome. It's so nice to have you here with us today.
Yeah, thanks, David. It's really a pleasure having me, and thanks for the invitation. Hi, everyone.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so Ope, please, could you please just, I know he's a senior data scientist, he had experience in Cowrie, right? Career
Carry
wise,
wise.
yes, experience career wise, is currently working for international company as a senior data science lead. Well, I'd like you to, from your own mouth, just tell us about yourself and your data science journey so far.
All right, thank you once again. So yes, my name is Fabiyi Opeyemi, but you can call me Ope for short, but most people call me Opiano. And I currently work as a senior data lead with the analytics engineering team with Data Culture. So Data Culture is a data consulting firm based in New York. And what we currently do is basically help our clients move from their current data maturity to the next phase in their data maturity. So we offer services around data engineering, data strategy, anything data, basically, that's what we do for our clients. And prior to joining Data Culture, I was with CarryWise as a data scientist, analytics engineer, basically, where I was exposed to analytics engineering proper. So I would say my interest into analytics engineering actually started from CarryWise. And prior to CarryWise also, I also did a little bit of consulting with Deloitte as a data analytics consultant. And I was also a supply chain planning analyst with Barsdorf, manufacturer of Nivea. So my career has been more around supply chain, consulting, fintech, and now I'm back to consulting basically, and that's pretty much it. And outside of work, I do community advocacy. So I try to share knowledge as much as possible because I know community kind of help people to learn. And if I get new knowledge, if I get new exposure as much as possible, I want to bring more people into the domain basically. And that's pretty much it.
Wow. That's a very interesting and robust experience. Okay, wow. And speaking about his community involvement, really, I'm a testimony. I can testify to that. Like, so I saw his profile on LinkedIn. I sent him a connection, and so I could see that he had the experience in a startup, and I love his data stack. In that it was more of open source, he was considering cost as well, and was able to use that data stack to like deliver value. And I was interested, and I reached out to him. Okay, please, I am so and so, please, I'm doing so and so this, I need to help with this and this. And every time he's been always there to answer every of my question. I think I joined the DBT conference not too long, and I just introduced myself in there as a data analyst from Nigeria. And next thing I saw, I got an invite from Ope to join the Nigerian trade. And I'm like, wow. So he's really been great. He's really been great. Ope, thank you so much for what you're doing for the data science community in Nigeria. Really appreciate it. And we're climbing on shoulders of people like you so we can learn more and use and help our organizations in the data space. All right, so about data in consulting, I'd just like to ask just off the mark, data in consulting and data in fintech, is it the same thing, like same kind of experience? What was really like? I don't know.
So I think data science or data analytics generally in consulting and in a startup or in the industry, basically, they're kind of somewhat different, though they have the same goal. And what is the same? What is the goal? The goal is to use data, use analytics to solve a problem, right? Only that the way it is being approached in consulting is different from the way it's going to be approached when you're working for a startup. So what do I mean? In consulting, basically, you are basically helping a client to solve a problem. So a client is probably trying to set up their data infrastructure, data stack, or they are trying to they want to be data driven. They don't know where to start from. So that means they need to lean on the shoulder of experts to help them to do that. And that's where consultant come in. So consultant leveraging on their broad experience, because as a consultant, you would have worked across various industries. You understand what is obtainable, what is not obtainable. So you are able to suggest and advise your client, which is that company, on what they need to do. Okay, you start from here and move from here and all of those things, right? So most of the time, data consulting kind of help organizations want to start out because you have experts to help you. On the other side of things, if you are working as a data professional, a data analyst, data scientist with a company, say a startup, what happens is this: you are there with the organization. So that means you grow with the organization. Whatever thing you are doing, you are able to measure the impact of what you are doing. You are able to reiterate, oh, you apply this particular stack this point in time, or you do this particular test. You are able to measure the impact on the business and come up with new ideas and all of those things. But consulting, on the other hand, a consultant come, implement a particular solution, train people in that company, and you're gone. You move to the next project, unless some of your contract may mean that yes, you support the company going forward for a long term, which often happen once in a while. So that's basically why I say it's different. So from consulting point of view, you have a broad experience. I can say the experience it's amazing. You work with different clients, and I think aside that, one thing consulting also give you, which you may not necessarily, you may gain that in an industry, right? But it may come with years of working with organization before you get to say managerial level or a leadership level. But consulting, on the other hand, give you that soft skills such that because you will learn how to communicate with your clients, you learn how to convey technical stuff to non-technical person. Because even if you are done developing the solution, you need to be able to communicate to stakeholders, let them know the value of what you're trying to do for them. And that's some of those soft skills that you probably will need in your journey as a data professional, basically.
Wow. Thank you so much, Opey. Thank you so much. All right, so let's move down to analytics engineering. So Opey, like I said, he has experience in that field. He's not just talking about what he wants to do. It's something he has done from the startup in career-wise. He's doing it right now in consulting, so he has that experience. So Opey, from the mouth of an analytics engineer, could you tell us what analytics engineering is all about?
So analytics engineering is still a growing field, right? Even in global space, a lot of redefinition is still ongoing. So everybody's trying to learn, everybody's trying to understand what it is, what is not, because there seems to be a blurry line between, even though, yes, there could be an overlap between all of the roles, right? There could be an overlap between a data engineer, so a data analyst, and the analytics engineer. But for short, analytics engineer is basically someone who is the middleman between the data engineer and the business, which is the data analyst. So you see analytics engineering as someone that basically do data pipelines, build data models. The end goal is to see how it connects to the business. So see an analytics engineer as a subset of a data engineer, but who is business heavy. Now, a couple of some data engineers don't want to understand what's happening with the data, right? They just want to do all those interesting stuff to them, which is building infrastructure, building custom connectors, managing the infrastructure and data platform. That's what they want to do. They don't really care about what is going to happen with the data, even though they understand that, yes, they want to move data from somewhere to somewhere. What you do with the data is none of their business, right? And that's where you have data analysts, you have data scientists that want to use those data that are available. But now the analytics engineer, on the other hand, yes, have a little bit of some data engineering experience in middle, right? Because you're able to build pipelines. And on the other side too, you are heavy on the business because whatever thing you are doing with data, you want to understand how the end user will consume what you are working on, which is the data. And your consumer can be the data analyst, the consumer can be data scientist, and the consumer can even be the stakeholder that probably need an Excel report. So which is why an engineer seems to be someone that has that kind of centralized knowledge between the data ecosystem.
Wow. Thank you so much. Okay, so I would like to ask now. So before the rise of analytics engineering, so data engineer concerns himself about the pipelines and all that, ensuring that data is coming from the sources, is feeding the data analyst with whatever he needs and all that. and the analyst does the business part of it, or the data scientist does the business part of it. So, why is the analytics engineer now coming in the middle? Is having the skill set of the engineer, having the skill set of the business part of it in between them? So, what kind of business value do you think that guy would bring in the whole data stack?
Okay, so I'm very sure you're very conversant with this, that most research will say 60% to 70% of the work of a data professional is in data transformation. So and you can bear me witness. You probably have been spending a lot of time trying to gather data from everywhere, trying to prepare it for your end user to use them probably as a report, as a dashboard. So that means there's a lot of hassle, a lot of stress that goes with data preparation, right?
Wow.
And before the rise of analytics engineering, quite all right, the data engineer has probably been doing some of those things, or even the analyst. The data analysts are even data scientists. And that's why you often see, as a data scientist, you probably join a company as a data scientist, only for you to discover that there are no data available. So you have to be the one, you have to be the one to probably sourcing for data, trying to see how data will move from one place to another, to prepare the data ready for use before you start your actual work. Now, an example is probably someone like you. You want to build the dashboard, you want to build report, but now your data is not well formatted in the way that you need it. So that means you have to leave your current role and wear another cap, which is move data from somewhere to somewhere, prepare the data, and all of those things. Now, before the analytics engineering as a role came in, there's like an overlap as it were. So role definition was a bit blurry, but now it's a bit clearer. So the analytics engineer now come, make your work easier as a data analyst, make your work easier as a data scientist. So you don't need to bother yourself about data preparation, data transformation, which often take the bulk of your time. Let's assume you have a project and 40% or even 50% of the project, you are doing data preparation, and you probably just have very little time to now do the actual data analysis to bring inside of the data. You have very little time to do the actual data science, building model, and all of those things. But now it becomes easier. All you're working with as a data analyst is a well-prepared, well-formatted, just the data that you need to do your analysis. So you have all the time to focus on bringing fascinating insights that would support the business. The data scientist now has all the time to build all those machine learning models, to do all those hyperparameter tuning without stressing
focusing on transformation.
You understand? So it's kind of make the work a bit easy. So in the modern data organization, in the modern data team, the analytics engineer just basically come to make everybody's work easy. So that means the data engineer don't necessarily need to start bothering about what the end user will do with the data. All he or she just care about is, how does the data move from this place to this place? How do I maintain the data infrastructure? How do I ensure there's optimization, there's low cost in whatever thing that needs to be done? And that we focus on that. And the analytics engineer now be the one to now, based on data that is already available, how do you now build data models that the end user will need, which is data analyst, data scientist, and even the stakeholder, basically. So it's actually more or less complementing each other. So it's not like one is taking over another. It's basically making the work interesting for it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ope. So I have another question about transformation. So speaking for myself, my personal experience, and I think it's something that we experience by people who come into the field. So when I started working on real projects, I noticed that there's usually this drive to jump into the dashboard you want to build immediately, or jump to the machine learning model you want to build immediately, without paying so much emphasis to transforming your data, put it in the correct format and all that. So I'd like to talk to us about data transformation, the importance data transformation has in your overall data end products, be it a dashboard, be it a machine learning model. That's the transformation process phase. How important is it? Because I feel like a lot of people tend to just, I want to do the dashboard, let me just jump into my dashboard without that kind of a thing. So just tell us about it.
Yeah, so it's basically garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't have a well-formatted, a well-transformed data, so definitely your analysis is probably going to be flawed. And even if not flawed, it's going to be a lot of struggle. And that's why most times you move backward as in any data project. So what do I mean by you move backward? You have the end goal in mind. What are you trying to do? You're trying to build a report. Who are the people that need this report? You have that in mind. The next thing you want to do is you want to move back. You want to move from that end goal backward. Do I have the data available to do what I need to do? If yes, good. The data available is in the right format that I need to do what I need to do. If yes, then that makes your work easy. You dive into the analysis. But most of the time, you're very sure it's not always that smooth. So it's either the data is not available, you have to go and get the data. Now the data is available, the data is probably not in the right state that you need it for your report. Probably the way the stakeholder want the report to be in is not what the way it's currently is. So that means you have to now start thinking through, how do I move from what I currently have to a data that is well formatted for end users to use? And that's why it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of problem solving, it takes a lot of thinking to be able to know how you go about doing your data transformation. And just to also put this out, data transformation is not just about data cleaning. It's part of it. Yes, you probably have missing information. You want to know how you handle that. You probably have data that are not properly formatted. You want to know how to handle that. Yes, that's part of it. But now data transformation also include business logic transformation. So what do I mean? You are done cleaning your data well. You are done doing all necessary things you need to do. But now you probably want to build a retention analysis model, or you want to probably build a cohort analysis as your end goal. So how do you move from that data that is probably just rows and columns that entails daily people that's probably saving, or daily people that's probably visiting your website and all of those things? So how do you move from that data, transform it to a business logic that the stakeholder can now see clearly and say, okay, fine, last month, these were the number of people that left our organization, or these were the number of people that stopped using our product. So all of those things that you do, even though they are business logic inclined, but they also form part of data transformation. So in all of data transformation is an all-encompassing stuff that include data cleaning as well as business logic transformation, which is your final model the downstream user basically need.
Thank you so much, Opeyemi. So guys, you've heard it from him. Take your data transformation phase very, very important. You don't just jump into your end product, a dashboard, a machine learning model, or whatever you're working on. Take your data transformation phase important because it is garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
All right. So okay, I'd like to ask you about the tools, right? Tools for analytics engineering. What are the tools that people need to upskill? So data analysts could use SQL, a visualization tool, Power BI, or Tableau or Lucas, it may be. So does it need to upskill to get other skills, other tools, to learn other tools? Does it need to learn other technical skills as well? So what tools and skills do you think are required in becoming an analytics engineer?
Yes, so definitely there's a lot of upskilling that would be done from a data analyst that wants to upskill to an analytics engineer. But interesting thing is, it's not like a complete new upskilling. The analytics engineering role, or even the modern data stack as a whole, the interesting thing is they're built on a fundamental skill, which is SQL, and maybe some basics of Python. So which means, and which I'm very sure, I don't think there's any data analyst that probably wouldn't know how to use SQL. Let me not make that hasty generalization, but I'm assuming any data analyst should be able to use SQL. So that means the upskilling you probably will just be doing is just to now understand how your current knowledge now fits into the new thing, which is the modern data stack and all the necessary tools you need to learn. Now, in terms of tooling, the modern data stack actually have different skill, different feature. Now, you talk about the data injection aspect of things, which basically means how do you move data from one source to a destination? Your source can be, how do you move data from MySQL, or you want to move data from Facebook Ads, you want to move data from Google Analytics, depending on your source, or from MongoDB to a particular data warehouse like Snowflake, like BigQuery, like Redshift, and so on and so forth. So you need a particular tool. And as much as possible, you don't want to build from scratch. This has been like a general recommendation globally. As much as possible, try and look if there are off-the-shelf tools that are available rather than building. Yes, there are instances where those connectors may not be available, so you have to now build, right? So those are instances. So what are those tools you need to probably pick up? You have Vivetran, you have Airbyte, you have Stitch. Now these are tools that are both open source and they are paid. Airbyte is open source, and there's also Metano. Metano is also open source. But in terms of paid, you have Vivetran, you have Stitch. Now, these two are very, very easy to use. I can tell you, you can also validate that these two are very easy to use. They're basically just you configuring some stuff from the UI and some basic little setup. So they are not complicated. Anybody can actually easily set them up. So that's from the data injection. So now that your data has been injected from a particular source with destination, how do you now transform that data? How do you make that data ready for use? So that's when you now start talking about DBT, which is like the core of data transformation. So you have DBT or you have data form. Those are the two tools that are basically used for data transformation. But in terms of global recognition and global awareness, what most organizations are using is actually DBT, which is for the core data transformation. So once you're done with your data transformation, then I start talking about your BI tools, which can be Power BI, which can be Tableau, depending on your choice and depending on the organization you're currently working with. Now, that's the simplistic modern data stack. But now, as you go a bit, as the organization scale, they may want to start adding some other tools. But as a basics, if you have all of those things, trust me, you can do an amazing stuff for any organization as an analytics engineer. But now, let's assume as the organization scale, you want to start talking about workflow orchestration tool like Airflow, like Darkstar. I probably want to talk about reverse ETL, which is basically how do you move your data from destination to a third party, let's say like HubSpot, let's say like Salesforce, and all of those things for targeted marketing or customer.io. So that's where reverse ETL comes in. So you have sensors, you have iTouch, and so on and so forth, and you probably have like data governance. So those are basically, as the organization scale, the tooling scale. So for the basic, a data integration tool can be Airby, which is open source, a data transformation tool, which is data DBT, and any visualization tool, depending on the choice of your company. And most importantly, have a strong mastery of SQL. SQL is just everything you need to have a good grasp of to be able to do well in terms of analytics engineering, and probably a little bit of Python, basically.
Wow. Thank you very much, okay. So you heard from his mouth, he's told us how you move from the data ingestion phase to transformation and then to your BI, to your business intelligence. So you see, and the tools you mentioned are quite open, like they're easy to use, they're easy to learn. Yeah. You can pick them up here because you can't say you're in the data space and you can't pick up things. Most of the skills you learn, you have to pick them up yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, so these tools you can pick them up. And then DBT as well is built on SQL, like you're basically just writing SQL codes. So there's something I want to talk about. You said it, but I would like to like emphasize it again. So the thing is, personally, when I started learning data science, when I had interest in data science, almost all the shows I was seeing online was talking about Python for analysis, Python. And sincerely, the first thing I started to learn was Python. Yeah. I went into Python and I was not even going to the Python I was even going was Python for machine learning. Pandas, scikit-learn, writing, those kind of things. Exactly. And so as I kept learning, when I now started interacting with the data guys in my previous organization in the bank, I understood that these guys actually do more of SQL. So why did nobody tell me about SQL, right? Why did I have to find this? I was like, so I don't know. I feel like that thing is still in the industry. Like there's so much hype about Python, but the main thing SQL, nobody's talking about it. So I wanted to please two things to really emphasize the importance of SQL in a data stack, data structure, and also how people can move from beginner to intermediate to advanced in SQL.
Yeah, so you're actually very, very, very correct. So the thing is this: there seems to be like a parallel line between the hype that you hear in terms of courses, academy, as well as what is obtainable on the job, right? When I also started out, I dived right into the complex stuff. I started learning machine learning, deep learning, a lot of those things. But reality dawned on me when I got into the organization. I'm like, this thing is not as...
What's going on here?
What exactly? Like, what's really happening here? So the thing is this, those tools are very important. If you learn to use Python, trust me, it's going to help you a lot, because that means as you go advance in your stuff, in your journey, you can pick up some things very, very easy. Do you understand? But SQL still form the basis of everything. So everything will still boil down to rows and columns that people will use to build reports. And that's why the lingua franca of the modern data stack, and even new innovations that will keep churning out, will still center around SQL. Why? Because all those organizations, all those innovations want to make life easy for end users. They want to bring solutions that people can easily pick up, that non-technical people can easily use. You don't want to develop a solution that is only some few people, which are the engineers, that are like a subset in the total population of an organization. So as much as possible, they want to build a solution that will be easy to adopt, that less technical people can easily pick up and learn and use to bring value to the business. And that's why one language that they've discovered that is easily to learn, easily to adopt, easily to use is SQL. Like, you can bear me witness, anybody can easily pick it up and learn the basics. Yes, definitely a data engineer or a data analyst can now know the advanced stuff to do those advanced querying. But for the basic, anybody can easily pick up SQL to learn and use and draw out value. So how do you move from basics to advanced? I think learning anything in the programming space, tech space, whether analytics, whether software development, comes with practice. So which means, I'm sure a lot of people have been preaching it, learn by doing. You don't want to you don't want to get stuck into that loop of just taking courses there and there. So learn the fundamental, then look for a project to solidify what you've learned. And in terms of resources, I wrote an article of recent on tested resources that I have used. There might be other amazing resources out there, right? But I'm making reference to just the resources I have tested that are amazing, right? So I talk about the Udacity SQL course. Now, I am not publicizing for Udacity. I don't have any affiliation with them. But I took SQL for data analytics with SQL, and I say it's an amazing course that take you from that basics to intermediate. Then the second resource that I recommended is this popular Dynamas challenge. It's an amazing challenge. It builds a simulated real case for you, make you think the way you think as a data analyst when you're on the job. So it's not the regular exercises that you have probably on Lead Code or Akara. It's like a real simulated case study that you have when you're working on the job, where you have a data set and you want to answer some ad hoc query requests for the business. So if anybody is able to solve those challenges, now I think I jokingly asked Danima himself that, which level can anyone that complete that challenge, which level can they place themselves? As much as possible, you want to know whether you're at intermediate level or advanced level. Now, Danima jokingly said, anyone that is able to finish that challenge can comfortably blast the FANG SQL interview. And I'm very, very sure it's not an exaggeration. It's actually very, very true. Now, I didn't finish the challenge because of work and all of those things, but I was able to do the first 4 weeks of the challenge. And I can tell you...
The 8 weeks challenge, right?
Yes. I was able to finish the first 4 weeks, but I can tell you the challenge is really well simulated, well tasking. It adopts almost everything you basically need. So in terms of my recommendation, there might be other amazing resources out there, which I probably don't know. But in terms of my recommendation, try and explore the Udacity course and probably try and test out your skills from the Dynamas challenge, basically. And I'm sure you'll be able to build that competence that you think you need as well as the confidence.
Wow. Thank you so much, okay. And I'm just to add for the Danima 8-week challenge. So he also has a free masterclass hosted on GitHub. Yes. So
really?
he has a free masterclass hosted in GitHub where he has several questions, business questions. You import data sets yourself into your own SQL, whatever you're using, MySQL or Postgres, whatever you're using. Sure. And then he gives you questions, and then you just answer those questions with queries, and then you check it with his own answers. So if you are not able to purchase the 8-week challenge, you can try out the free masterclass.
No, the 8-week challenge is actually free. The 8-week challenge is actually free. The 8-week challenge is free. Only that the solution to the 8 weeks challenge, you have to purchase the course. But access to the 8-week challenge is free. Only that, yes, you may not necessarily get a solution to know if you are right or wrong. But the challenge is completely free. Yeah.
Wow. So guys, you can jump in on it. You can use Google. Opey, your article you posted, was it on LinkedIn or Medium?
Yeah, on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to get the link and put it on this description, so guys you can look it up and then improve yourself. All right, so okay, I'm going to ask you again. You said something earlier on about as data analysts, one of the things that you get from consulting is that you're able to improve on soft skills, right? Communication, being able to sell your solutions to the third party or whoever you're working with. So I'd like to ask, how do we improve on our skills or ability to sell our solutions internally to management organizations? Because data analysts, data engineers, they have projects they're working on there, but then they have to be able to convince management that this thing has business value for us, right?
True.
So how can we navigate that space internally?
Yeah. So I think one skill that is very, very important for any tech person, and even any data professional to learn, is communication skill. Communication skill, presentation skill. It's equally important as the technical skill you are learning, the Python, the SQL, the Airflow, and all of those things. Because if you don't know how to communicate, there's no way you can let people see what you're trying to do or let people see the value of what you want to do, even when you are there internally. So that's why you need to know how to communicate. And how do you tend to build those skills? Now, it could come from while you are learning, you want to probably write articles. It can be a way to start. How do you, okay, you've learned a concept in SQL or in Python. How do you communicate that concept to non-technical with an assumption that someone that will read your article is a non-technical person, yet they will still be able to understand what you are trying to do, without necessarily trying to bombard that article with all technical stuff, right? How do you tell a story? Those are like important skills you can learn along the line. Probably the more you practice this thing, the more you get better. You probably might start out and probably want to make a presentation internally. Yes, it might be terrible the first time. You have something to share. You want to make presentation internally with a few folks to let them see what you're trying to do. As time goes on, you get better in your presentation skill. As time goes on, you get better in your communication skill, because in the long run, it's going to help you to know how to communicate well to stakeholders, to whoever needs the solution you want to come up with, basically.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Okwe. So, guys, you need to improve not just on your technical skills. In fact, see these soft skills as important technical skills, communication skills, presentation skills, selling your ideas to management so they can jump on whatever you have to sell to the company. So, wow, it's really been an insightful talk, Okwe, really insightful. So, I'd like to ask you, currently you're working for an international company as a Nigerian based in Lagos with your experience. Two questions in one. Do you think, it's said that the job market is now like a global market, it's equal. Do you really think it's really equal? Like, do we Africans tend to have some, what's the word? Discrimination sort of a thing that, oh, they're based in Nigeria, let's know that kind of a thing. And that's one. If that is not true, how do you think people can improve themselves and get the confidence to such a point when they say that, oh, I can actually work for an international company while in Nigeria? How do you think people can get to that point in this field of data science and analytics?
That's an interesting question. So personally, even though, yes, a very lot of people talk about, I've even jumped on some spaces on Twitter where they talk about discrimination and all of those things. But this is my take, right? As much as possible, I believe as a Black person, an African, yes, you need to prove yourself. You probably need to go extra mile to prove yourself that you are good on that stuff. You know your onions very well, because yes, location is already a barrier for you. Probably your time zone is even like far apart from them and all of those things. So you probably have a lot of things against you. But as the case may be, they still need talent. They need people that can do this stuff. So it's all a matter of having that skills proven from your experience, from project that you've worked on, which will let them know that, yes, this person actually have the stuff, can do this thing equally like an engineer probably in the States there. So what I would just say is build your competence, work on projects, and most importantly, put yourself out there. Keep shooting those applications. Trust me, rejection will come, which is like a normal thing. Like, you'll get rejected countless times, but you don't want to give up, right? Giving up shouldn't be an option. So the more you keep applying, it's a numbers game. Trust me. You can shoot 100 applications and probably only 2 will reach out back for an interview. But now imagine if you just shoot 5, none reach out. Right. So it's a numbers game, which you have to keep trying, and you really don't know the golden opportunity that will get your foot right into the door. So yes, keep learning, keep building competence, keep building expertise. Don't see it like, oh, you're Black, you're an African. I'm sure a lot of Black people are doing amazing stuff out there in their respective organizations. So which means if they are doing it, you can do it, I can do it, basically.
Wow, thank you so much, okay. Thank you so much. Like I've learned so much from this short conversation. I'm sure viewers have also gotten a lot out of this conversation. So guys, you want to pivot into the analytics engineering space, either as data analyst or data engineer. It is very, very possible. And then you don't need to learn so much external skills. You already have SQL, so it's just a matter of improving on your SQL, and for data transformation. And then you may have to now learn to use DBT and stuff like that. So these tools are things you can pick up, because I think one of the fundamental skills of anybody in data space is ability to learn. Like, because the field is always evolving.
True.
You need to have the ability to self-learn and say, hey, I need to pivot and learn this, right? Else you become redundant in the industry. So guys, whichever phase you are in, just hit the ground rolling and know that you can get it done. Okay, thank you so much for this conversation. I don't have any
Thank you
final words for viewers, for beginners, for intermediates, for those in advance. Any final words, people who are looking to build their data career? Yeah, so just those final words for Quality.
Yeah, thanks, David, for having me. It's really an amazing time. So this is why I often say anywhere I get to talk to data enthusiasts, probably data, any data level is, we all know it's a marathon, not a sprint. So which means don't put pressure on yourself. Just take it one step at a time. Just as David had rightly mentioned, the field is a fast-paced one. New tools will keep coming out, new stuff will keep coming out. There will continue to be new trends in the space. So don't box yourself, don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure and say, oh yes, I want to learn data analytics in 3 months and get a job. It may not happen. You may be lucky, right? But that may not necessarily happen. So don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure, but as much as possible, take it one step at a time. Take it one step at a time. Lean on the shoulders of experts, and most importantly, join communities. Communities basically give you that support system you need to build your learning journey. I'm still in a couple of communities because I also don't want to get to a point where I think I've known it all. So I join communities that I know are even way, way, way ahead of me. So I get to know that, guy, there's still a lot of stuff to be learned. You're just starting, right? So just know that at every pace that you are in, take it gradually, one step at a time. Reach out to folks where you need to reach out to. Join community to build that support system for yourself. And most importantly, put yourself out there. Don't stop shooting application. Yes, rejection will come. Literally will certain, you'll be frustrated at some point, but giving up shouldn't be an option. I'm very, very, very sure it's just a matter of time. Opportunity is going to meet your preparedness and you get that dream job. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Okwe. Like it says, opportunity would meet your preparation and you would get whatever it is you're expecting. So, guys, thank you so much for staying with us in this conversation. Remember to keep learning data science and keep increasing your productivity. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.